The night open with a single beam, sliding past your eyelids like a hush. You drift beside it, sensing how quickly darkness folds away. Voices of ancient astronomers linger, counting heartbeats against starlight. Already, the cosmos feels smaller and friendlier, cradling you in its glow. You lie in a still, hushed room, the covers draped across your shoulders like a tame horizon. Somewhere beyond the walls, streetlights breathe, but inside, only darkness settles, a darkness so gentle. It feels plush, like velvet pressed against your cheek. In that softness, the first thread of light arrives. It slips beneath the door, thin as spider silk, carrying neither heat nor sound, only a silent announcement. I have traveled far, and I am here. You imagine opening one eye, though the lid stays closed. Behind it, a private theatre glows. The beam stretches across the stage of your mind, unrolling its ribbon at exactly 299,792 kilometers every second. Numbers so large usually roar, but tonight they whisper, blending with the slow pulse in your wrist. Each heartbeat marks the distance light covers between one hush and the next. 7 times around the earth before your pulse can finish a single phrase. The thought does not startle you. It rocks you, gently, the way a mother hums to a half-sleeping child. You ride the measureless speed like a leaf on an unseen wind. There is no strain, because the beam does all the work. You are simply allowed to notice how quickly darkness folds away when light steps forward. Shadows shrink, corners round off, and distances once rigid relax into something kinder. Even the far edge of your own doubt feels closer, more reachable, as though light not only fills space but softens it. Listen closely. History answers in murmurs. From the pillow of centuries, voices surface Ibn al-Haytham calibrating lamps in a Cairo courtyard, Galileo standing atop a Tuscan hill with lanterns shielded beneath cloth, Rachma waiting for Io to vanish behind Jupiter's bulk, and Mike aligning mirrors across the still air of California's mountains. They are all here, apprentices in the same dim corridor, trying to measure an entity that never slows enough to be measured. You hear their quills scratch, their lenses click, their breaths pause in shared astonishment, and you feel welcomed among them. And yet, there is pleasure in slowness. Because you move so modestly, you can watch the beam's pilgrimage in comfortable awe, rather than dizzy terror. Picture yourself standing beside a cosmic highway. Photons zip by, invisibly bright. You extend your palm, and, though they cannot pause, they leave impressions, faint warmth, the memory of colors yet to be seen, promises of stories from stars too distant to pronounce. These impressions accumulate like grains of sand in a silent hourglass, marking the passage of unseen tides. You wonder why there is a limit at all. Why should light choose this speed and no other? The question hovers, patient, while you trace the edges of possibility. You recall a taut fabric stretched on an embroidery hoop. Pluck it, and a wave runs outward, not because the wave chooses that pace, but because the tightness of the cloth dictates how briskly it can ripple. Space itself, Einstein revealed, is such a fabric woven of lengths and moments, tensioned by the very shape of causality. Light, being weightless thread, glides along the weave exactly as fast as the weave allows him. Not a sigh faster. Feel how this explanation settles. Neither heavy nor conclusive like a feather landing on water. It is enough for tonight that the universe has a rhythm, and you can sway to it without knowing every note. With closed eyes, you see the beam again, more clearly now. Not a single shaft, but a parade of photons, each a packet of electric and magnetic sway. They pivot around one another in harmony, carrying energy in discrete spoonfuls called quanta. Their dance steps never change speed, no matter how fervently the music swells. You notice how democratic that is, whether a photon springs from the cold birth of a cosmic microwave background or erupts from the blazing fringe of a supernova. It races with equal resolve. Glory does not alter its tempo, neither does obscurity. In that equality, you find reassurance. If the most flamboyant explosion and the quietest glow obey the same rule, perhaps you too can trust the laws that cradle them. The speed of light becomes a lullaby of consistency, repeating one soft phrase. Everything moves within safe boundaries. Now your breath matches a quieter metronome. You inhale over 4 silent counts, exhale over 4 more. Each cycle is a miniature universe, bridged by its own spark of awareness. Time, once a grid of obligations, unspools into long, slow ribbons. On those ribbons you ride with the photons, covering an impossible distance without a single step. Even your worries seem to adopt the pace of starlight swift to depart, impossible to hold back once released. Outside, the moonlight has reached your window. It passes through glass and meets your pillow, tender as a fingertip. The photons touching. You left the lunar surface 1.3 seconds ago. Blink, yes, yet their journey feels ceremonious, as though the moon herself composed a goodnight letter and addressed it directly to your skin. You accept the letter without opening your eyes. Inside, perhaps, are dusty footprints and silver plains and the slow evolution of craters under falling. Meteors, that entire archive arrives, folded into the briefest caress. You imagine shrinking further, becoming small enough to stand on a photon's prow. Ahead is nothing but an open corridor, a corridor that needs no walls because emptiness itself is sturdy. Behind stretches the wake of events you can no longer change. Forward is the possibility of every tomorrow, arriving at the same steady pace as today. You cannot accelerate toward it. You can only welcome its approach. The beam reminds you that patience is not idleness. It is alignment with fundamental cadence. Somewhere within this reverie, the numbers return but smaller, gentler. 8 minutes, the time light spends crossing the gap between sun and earth. 12 milliseconds, the time it takes a radio signal to loop around the planet. 700 nanoseconds, the flicker between an astronaut's heartbeat and mission control's reply. These figures glow like fireflies, mapping intimacy over cosmic scale. You think of loved ones, separated perhaps by continents, yet sharing dawns crafted from the same solar syllable. Listen again, the beam is humming not with speed, but with stories. Each frequency is a language, some piercing like violin, others deep as cello. Infrared whispers about warm blankets and cooling tea, ultraviolet murmurs of blossoms guiding bees. X-rays speak in sharper accents, revealing bones beneath skin, nebulae behind dust. All these dialects travel with perfect punctuality, never missing an appointment in the vast diary of space. You eavesdrop, lulled by the multilingual choir. Moments pass, though what is a moment when light defines the moment itself? You slide deeper under the quilt, letting cotton edges trace the curve of your chin. In that subtle touch, you sense electromagnetic fields oscillating in concert, the same invisible oscillations that propel photons outward. The boundary between body and beam blurs. Your nerves are slow poets compared to light, but they rhyme in kindred meter. converting external shimmer into inner calm. And so the hush in your room expands, becoming a cathedral. The ceiling feels higher, the air more star-flecked, yet you remain safely grounded in bedding and breath. You realize you are free to float in thought precisely because physical law anchors your actual form. Gravity holds you while photons tour the universe. The partnership is delicate and permanent, like two hands clasped across a quiet table, because the ceiling exists. Cause follows the way waves follow the tug of the moon. Messages arrive in order, notes in a melody rather than scattered noise. Without the limit, the tune would unravel into static, and every promise would lose its certainty. Instead, order prevails, granting friendships time to grow, allowing lullabies to reach cradles before tears can fall. You thank the speed limit for giving the universe this peaceful coherence, before sleep fully claims you. Curiosity flickers once more. If light must refrain from exceeding its prescribed velocity, how does that restraint shape the architecture of everything else? The question stretches before you like a dim hallway, lined with lanterns. Each lantern marks a star, a candle burning steadily in the cosmic night, threading the dark with steady warmth. Your imagination strolls that hallway, already listening for the soft crackle of distant flames. Even as your eyelids grow heavier, you promise to follow that glow in the next chapter, to explore the gentle constellations that wait like bedside candles, each aflame with stories stitched across immeasurable distance. For now, you rest beside the beam, soothed by its unwavering pace, while far away, those patient candles prepare their quiet welcome. You rest in quiet darkness, the room hushed enough for your heartbeat to sound like distant surf. In that hush, you open another set of eyelids, the ones behind your mind's eyes. The ceiling dissolves, the roof evaporates, and the night sky leans inward, curious about your breathing. Thousands of luminous points appear, unwavering. Instead of glittering like hard diamonds, they glow with the soft steadiness of candle flame. Each star becomes a small lamp on a table of infinity, its light arriving with no hurry, only certainty. Candles, you notice, do more than shine. They release warmth, scent, and the slow dance of smoke. The stellar candles give off their own blend. Photons, neutrinos, whispers of gravity. A real star is a cauldron of fusion hydrogen folding into helium, sighing energy outward in irresistible waves. Yet from where you lie, the violence looks gentler than a cradle song. Distance is a silencer, turning roars into murmurs and making the unwieldy cosmos feel domestic. You picture an imaginary hallway stretching from your pillow to the nearest star, Proxima Centauri. For light years convert into 40 trillion kilometers, but you shrink that immensity until it fits inside a city block of thought. At one end, your room; at the other, a flicker just beyond the corner street lamp. Between lies a quilt of space, stitched from an invisible thread. Each stitch is a unit astronomers call a parsec, named when parallax, the tiny wobble of a star's apparent position, first revealed depth beyond the sky's flat canvas. Holding that thread, you sense how measurement can become tenderness, transforming void into something you can fold. Distances farther still require brighter candles. Variable stars, named Kiphides, pulse like slow heartbeats, growing and dimming in a rhythm tied to their true brightness. You treat them as cosmic nightlights, measure a pulse, know the wattage, and gauge how far their comfort spreads. Farther. Yet, entire galaxies flare with supernova, momentary torches whose brightness rivals all their sibling stars combined. These standard candles, scientists say, let us gauge the reach of darkness. You prefer to think they mark safe passage, breadcrumb flames across endless corridors. Counting, however, can tire the mind at bedtime, so you move from numbers to feelings. You recall sitting by a fireplace where flames lick wood with slow concentration, shadows ballooning on the wall. That familiarity accompanies you now. Each stellar candle sends shadows as well, long, tapered cones where its light has not yet arrived. Those shadows overlap, creating the dark pockets between stars. The night is therefore not the absence of candles, but the tapestry their combined cones weave, a doily of darkness embroidered by light dot. As you drift, the notion of vacuum softens. Space is not perfectly empty. It quivers with electromagnetic fields, rogue atoms, and the occasional dust grain drifting like ash above a campfire. A single mote catches stray photons and glows the tiniest candle of them all. Some of that dust kneads itself over eons into planets, then into soil, then into living eyes capable of watching the larger candles. You realize the night sky is self-observing. Starlight leaves one furnace only to ignite awareness in another. The steadiness of the flames surprises you. Stars twinkle when air currents ripple their beams, but outside the atmosphere their shine is crisp and unwavering. Imagine flying beyond the blanket of air, floating in orbital stillness. The candles hang motionless, as if nailed to glass. That steadiness once guided sailors. Even now, satellites calibrate their positions by locking onto bright standards. Like Vega, your own inner compass may do the same, finding orientation in predictable glow. Certainty emanates from patience. You now attend to color. Cooler stars burn buttery gold, warmer ones razor white, the hottest sear ultraviolet beyond sight. Each hue corresponds to surface temperature, an astronomical thermometer that requires no contact, only patient eyes and a prism. You picture dipping a brush into starlight, painting gradients across darkness, pumpkin, ivory, electric blue. The cosmic night becomes a softly lit gallery where every portrait is a spectrum. Inside a real candle, melted wax climbs a wick by capillary action before pyrolysis turns it to flame. Inside a star, plasma churns under convection, setting up currents that haul fresh hydrogen into the core. Vast loops of magnetism arc above sunspots. Yet the candle metaphor remains apt because both systems convert stored fuel into luminous comfort. You sense that kinship and find the comparison lulling, whether centimeters tall or 1,000,000 kilometers wide. A flame is a promise that energy, once kindled, can travel far to soothe. At times, the promise falters. Some stars flicker toward death, their cores spent. Red giants swell like last bright exhales, then shed shells of gas that drift into nebulae shaped like watercolor blossoms. Dwarf remnants remain hot embers, no longer replenished but slow to cool. You consider that your own life follows smaller cycles of ignition, burn, and ember. Breathe in, breathe out. Wakefulness, sleep. Each cycle, a candle gives way to a quieter glow. Suddenly, the idea of scale shifts again. What if every galaxy is itself a candle, its spiral arms swirling wax and wick around a central flame? Galaxies, too, cluster in filaments, forming vast candelabras strewn across the observable universe. Between them stretches intergalactic night, darker still, but threaded by faint background radiation, the afterglow of the universe's first blaze. That radiation drapes everything like a barely warm blanket, reminding you that even the deepest night keeps some memory of fire. Time loosens its belt. Minutes, hours labels fail when compared with nuclear lifetimes inside stars. Hydrogen fuses for billions of years before change becomes visible. That sluggishness offers solace. The candles overhead are dependable companions, unlikely to wink out before morning. You feel the reliability seep into your muscles, unclenching shoulders, flattening worries. Celestial stability grants permission to rest, but rest is not stagnation. Even while you sink into mattress depths, photons from those candles keep traveling, stitching the universe together. Imagine each ray as a silver thread. Where threads intersect, perceptions bloom planets, nourish photosynthesis, telescopes collect data, minds discover. You are part of that embroidery simply by receiving its light. Reception is participation. Witnessing is collaboration. As you grant patience, memories surface of bedtime stories told by flashlight. The circle of light on the ceiling became a moon, and shadows of fingers became heroic dragons. Tonight's dragons are galaxies colliding, their tails of stars looping in tidal arcs. Their roar remains silent across millions of light years, yet the imagery is as vivid as any childhood tale. You realize, scientists, too, tell bedtime stories just with data and spectra instead of knights and castles. The hush deepens. You feel your pulse sinking with a rhythm called the inverse square law. Brightness diminishes with distance squared, a steady decrescendo. The law does not scold. It merely shapes expectations. Close things blaze, far things whisper, and both are valid. Modes of being. You surrender to that gradient, letting intense thoughts dim and peripheral musings glow faintly at the edges still present. But unobtrusive dot questions drift in. How many candles exist beyond sight? Do they flicker in unison when the universe expands? Scientists measure the redshift of distant galaxies, learning that space itself stretches, lengthening the wavelength of light. You picture each candle pulling its work a little farther from every other, yet continuing to burn. Expansion does not snuff flames, it only spreads their comfort wider. The dark appears larger, but so does the reach of illumination. Gravity enters, the picture gently, like a hand cupping a flame to protect it from wind. Stars orbit galactic centers because gravity tethers them in graceful loops. Without that hold, they would drift and darken alone, too scattered to offer guidance. You understand that care and constraint are cousins. The universe's boundaries nurture coherence, the way parental rules create safe rooms for children's dreams. Thought flows to energy again. The light leaving the sun every second equals the detonation of billions of nuclear bombs. Yet it arrives as gentle daylight, filtered by atmosphere. Layers transform ferocity into nurture, just as memory can turn harsh events into lessons softened by time. Your mind excels at such alchemy. The sky merely demonstrates the precedent. You shift on the mattress, feeling earthbound again. Beneath the foundations, the planet spins, carrying you at nearly 0.5 kilometer per second toward dawn. The spin ensures that no candle in the sky holds your gaze for too long. Each sets while others rise, a rotating carousel of guidance. Rotation becomes a lullaby refrain, around and around, dependable as breathing. One lingering curiosity flickers before sleep. If candles thread the cosmos together, what threads them? What fabric upholds the stitches? The notion cues a memory of rivers, their surfaces knitted by countless ripples. Light itself becomes a river, in the next thought a ceaseless flow of photons, whose current is locked at a constant speed. The candles may be sources, but the river carries news between them, ferrying warmth and information through otherwise empty banks. With that image, the night tilts. You sense the current under your dreams, ready to bear you farther than starlight alone can reach. And somewhere ahead, just beyond this gentle drift, the river widens, inviting you to step aboard and follow its silver path into deeper, quieter waters, slow, serene, patiently glowing into unknown mystery. Awaiting, you drift into soft darkness as though stepping through an unseen portal. Around you, space remains empty but for rivers of light, channels shaped by the silent flow of photons. You lie at rest on a current that carries no water but the pure pulse of electromagnetic waves. Each tiny photon races forward, keeping company with countless siblings. They speed ahead in unwavering unison, guiding you gently down a path where motion and stillness intertwine. Imagine dipping a finger into this radiant stream. You feel no chill, no pressure, only the faintest caress of energy brushing your skin. Photons are like coins stamped by the universe, each carrying a discrete measure of time and momentum. They pile beneath your fingertip, fleeting as a sigh, but potent enough to reveal galaxies. In their dance you sense the heartbeat of creation, a soft cadence older than mountains. The river's current is constant. You cannot push faster than its flow. You cannot pull it backward. Instead, you relax into its steady passage. The pace of light sets a rhythm for your thoughts. Inhale as the photons approach. Exhale as they recede. In that breath, you find permission to release tension. Each exhale drifts downstream, untethering worry and doubt. Wave and particle, poets and physicists call the dual nature of light. When you peer closely, you see both qualities entwined. Photons ripple through space like waves in a pond, yet they arrive one by one, each an indivisible packet. You're buoyed by this paradox. It whispers that mystery and certainty can coexist, that the simplest questions still carry wonder. Toward the riverbanks, thoughts gather like driftwood. Memories of childhood dreams surface, running barefoot through fields at dawn, chasing sunbeams through tall grass. Those golden ribbons reminded you of something elusive and free. Tonight, you chase the same ribbons across cosmic oceans, far beyond the horizon of everyday life. The waterless river flows through emptiness, so profound that even dust grains float like companions. A mote of interstellar material glimmers as it intercepts the current, shining briefly then fading. You imagine that dust becoming part of a future planet or a newborn eye. In that gentle thought, the universe feels alive with possibility and purpose. Time itself changes its shape here. On Earth, seconds tick in equal steps. Under this river, moments stretch and compress. A photon born in a distant star spends years in transit. Yet when it meets your eyes, its journey collapses into an instant, a single flicker of sensation. The same light that warmed ancient oceans now warms your skin in memory alone. Sound cannot travel in this realm, but you hear vibrations in your mind. Each photon's arrival is a whisper against the corridors of your imagination. The chorus of countless arrivals becomes a hush so soothing it feels like a lullaby written in silence. You close your real eyelids, allowing the echo of light to comfort you. As you float, questions drift in. How does light choose this constant pace? What weaves the channels that guide its flow? You intimate the answer is hidden in the fabric of space itself, a mesh of geometry and energy. That fabric ripples under gravity's touch, bending the current so that even your journey curves around massive bodies above you. The river thickens with beams from distant suns. They converge and overlap, weaving intricate patterns of illumination. The deeper in, the more complex the weave becomes. It's as though light builds a tapestry, layer by layer, telling stories of starbirths and dying embers. You sense those stories swirl around you, each photon a word in an epic narrative. You realize the river does not end. It extends beyond what any mind can fully grasp, yet you feel a kinship with its boundlessness. The familiarity of flow invites you to surrender to the current, to drift without effort, no longer needing to steer or resist. You trust the river's silent wisdom to carry you further. Now your breath is a breath of light. You inhale rib-length waves, exhale wavelengths that cascade into memory. The distinction between you and the river softens. You are vessel and stream, both passenger and current. This unity brings calm, as if all motion in the universe pauses in reverence to your gentle surrender. In the last glow, you glimpse distant banks lined with starlight. They pulse with anticipation of what comes next. Candlelit constellations, woven connections between cosmic fires. You sense the next chapter awaits those shores, ready to reveal the geometry that shapes these graceful currents. Below the surface of this luminescent river, space unfolds in 3 dimensions. You imagine diving deeper, exploring cross-currents where streams of light intersect at angles you cannot predict. Those intersections form nodes where information exchanges hands, where light from one star meets light from another, weaving signals in a cosmic dance. Your mind drifts among these nodes, feeling the gentle pulse of countless intersections. It is a place of subtle conversation, where whispering photons exchange glimmers of cosmic memory. In some regions, the river's banks narrow as gravity tugs the flow. Stellar masses curve space into gentle funnels, bending the current toward massive centers. You trace the bend like a kayaker following a meandering river, observing how the current steers itself. Through gravitational lensing, light arrives from behind what you cannot see directly, painting ghostly arcs in the void. These arcs remind you that even emptiness has shape, sculpted by invisible hands. You feel a softness beneath you, as though the riverbed itself breathes. This is not solid. Rather, it is the malleable geometry of spacetime. Ripples pass through, set off by shifting masses, altering the river's course in imperceptible ways. You ride these ripples with gentle buoyancy, trusting the elasticity of the riverbed to support your drift. Each crest lifts you forward, each trough rocks you into deeper contemplation. Along the banks, star clusters bloom like night-blooming flowers collapsing after sunset. Their petals are hot plasma arcs that glow in ultraviolet and X-ray vivid. In your imagination, even if your eyes cannot see them, you sense their heat in the back of your mind, a faint warmth that mingles with the river's own glow. The clusters remind you of gatherings, families of stars bound by gravity's embrace, sharing cosmic tales through shared light. Farther downstream, the current slows as it approaches vast cosmic voids. Here, candles are sparse, and darkness becomes a lake rather than a tapestry. Still, the river persists, its flow undiminished. It carries photons born in fiery supernova and quasar hearts, all to wander these lonely reaches. You marvel at their perseverance, H photon, a voyager, steadfast enough to cross emptiness and deliver its story regardless of distance. When you pause, The river's motion remains in your mind. Stillness and movement merge until you cannot tell where one ends and the other begins. It is a lesson in presence. To find calm, you allow current and quiet to coexist. Your thoughts slow, aligning with the unbroken continuity of light. As you merge with this continuity, your own worries dissolve in the flow. With each breath, you weave yourself deeper into the current's understanding. You realize that the river of photons is also a river of time. It carries history in its wavefront, from bygone epochs to the present moment. You become both observer and recorded event, connected across the vast ledger of light. Your awareness expands, embracing both the distant past and this very instant of gentle wonder. Time bends again as dawn approaches on your world. The photons from that coming sunrise gather at the headwaters of your river, ready to spill across the horizon. They will navigate atmospheric layers, refracted through moisture and dust. By morning, they will lace your surroundings with soft gold. But before you meet them, you drift here, nestled in the balance of darkness and glow. The river, ever patient, will carry you on toward the next horizon, where quiet insight awaits in the geometry of spacetime. You notice how senses sharpen in this environment of pure illumination. Without sound or smell, the river's glow becomes your sole companion. Yet in that singular focus, you uncover deeper layers. You feel the gentle pull of nearby masses. Sense the tiny redshift of photons as they climb out of gravity wells, and taste the abstract sweetness of starlight energy. These perceptions are subtle but profound, reminding you that existence is not limited to seen or heard. Night after night, you practice this form of meditation, cultivating awareness beyond every day. Senses. Your journey carries a question born of this attunement. How does one translate the silent geometry of the river into understanding? The answer lives in the mind of a thinker who once traced these same currents with chalk on a blackboard. Soon you will meet him, his quiet insights unraveling the tapestry of space and time. For now, you drift on the current of photons, your heart synchronized with their unwavering pace, ready to converse with the gentle turbulence of space-time in the chapter ahead. In the soft glow around you, an ember of curiosity warms your mind. You feel anticipation ripple through thought, as if each photon carries a whisper. He understood why the river behaves this way. The next crossing awaits in the landscape of ideas, where space and time are woven into one. There, quiet revelations await, simplicity hidden within complexity. You allow that promise to settle into your bones, and, with gentle trust, you relinquish the need for answers until the journey brings them gently into your dreaming mind. Awaits wonder. You settle into the quiet study where a soft lamp glows upon Einstein's desk, its light pooling like honey across scattered papers. The lamp seems to breathe in its own radiance, pausing mid-home to greet your presence. Around you, wooden beams and dusty volumes recede into gentle shadow, leaving only the warm circle around the desk. In that luminous haven, you sense ideas, drifting like motes of dust, each waiting to be caught. Einstein leans forward, his shoulders folding into the lamplight as if he and the lamp share a private secret. He lifts a page that trembles like an autumn leaf and flips it, the rustle echoing softly against the walls. You imagine that sound multiplied across century scribes, scholars, and poets, all turning pages in hushed reverence. The moment feels suspended, woven of breath and thought. He peers through round spectacles that catch the glow in tiny white sparks. His eyes, lively beneath unkempt hair, bear a serenity that humbles you. He smiles an easy arc that feels like thunder draped in velvet. You feel that smile ripple through your chest, settling tensions into calm acceptance. In its warmth, you know that big questions can be gentle, offered not as puzzles to solve, but as invitations to wonder, time and space. He begins, voice soft enough to blend with the lamp's hum. Are not eternal siblings always walking side by side? He points to two clocks drawn in charcoal, one marked stationary, the other motion. They disagree the way dreams disagree with dawn, each telling a version of reality, neither more real than the other. You sense that same dissonance in your own mind, where morning thoughts and nighttime visions softly overlap. He pulls a small pocket watch from his coat and holds it aloft. Its steady tick feels reassuring until you realize that in a moving frame, those ticks shift pace like footsteps on different terrain. If you were aboard a speeding train, his watch might sound slower. If you raced toward him, it might leap ahead. In that simple mechanism, you hear the whisper of a deeper harmony, melody where time bends to motion's will. Beside him sits a leather-bound notebook, its spine creased with use. You slide onto a low wooden stool, leaning forward so the lamp's circle includes you both. The desk transforms into a stage where equations dance, symbols curve and entwine, letters waltz with numbers. E equals mc squared, the gentle chorus affirming that energy and mass are verses of the same lullaby. Each character unfolds slowly, dignified, as if savoring its own existence. Imagine two travelers, Einstein says, his tone hushed like wind through pines, sending pulses by flashlight. He sketches a train on the page, then an observer beside the tracks. When the train moves away, flashes arrive late. When it moves nearer, they rush ahead. You trace those arcs with your fingertip, feeling how motion weaves space and time together into a single tapestry. Reality no longer seems rigid. It breathes and flexes. A breeze stirs the curtains outside, the rustle of leaves distant but real. You taste that whisper as fresh possibility proof that unseen forces shape the world, from swaying branches to shifting clocks. Einstein gently taps the window pane, and you imagine the boundary between the room and the universe outside dissolving, as though glass were merely mist. Ideas slip through, draping themselves around you like silken threads. Under the lamp's steady glow, the desk seems to tilt, as if space itself leans in to listen. Straight lines warp, suggesting a hidden curvature. You feel the tug of gravity's gentle hand, not in weight but in shape. The world tilts without warning, yet you stand firm, guided by the lamp's beacon and Einstein's quiet presence. The feeling is like floating on a calm sea, whose waves are invisible and whose horizon dissolves in starlight. He motions toward a model of planets, each suspended on thin wire arcs. Mercury clings close to its sun, while Neptune glides in distant calm. Each world experiences time differently, he murmurs. You picture Mercury's frantic pace, days and nights flickering like candle flames caught in a breeze. On Neptune, midday stretches into endless summer. You imagine standing on their surfaces, tasting each unique tempo, learning that time is a living, breathing companion. Your chest fills with the lamp's warmth. You notice your breath sinking with the rhythmic flick of the pocket watch. Inhale, exhale, tick, tock. Candlelight might flicker unpredictably, but this lamp, this watch, this insight hold a constant beat. The steadiness becomes a lullaby, guiding thoughts toward restful inquiry rather than restless chasing. Einstein closes his notebook with a soft thump. as though marking the end of one dream and the beginning of another. He arranges papers into a neat stack, each page a petal in a blossoming flower of ideas. You sense that every equation is fertile ground, waiting for seeds of curiosity to sprout. In that quiet order, you find permission to let your own questions settle gently, knowing they are welcomed here. He taps a sketch of spacetime on the desk, a grid bowed by a central mass. The hills and valleys drawn in charcoal glow under the lamp's beam. They seem less abstract now, resembling gentle dunes in a desert of thought. You imagine drifting across that terrain, each step a moment in time, each fold a curve in space. The landscape feels alive, shifting beneath your mind's footfall. Ashen shadows dance at the room's edges, but the desk remains a sanctuary of light. From the window, stars wink, as if observing your exchange. Their glow feels intimately connected to the lamp's halo. You realize that from distant galaxies to this humble study, light serves as a bridge unifying hearts and minds across the gulf of night. Einstein stands and offers you a final, gentle nod, as though entrusting you with a precious key. That key unlocks a world where space and time twist together, where journeys become discoveries not bounded by distance or duration. You rise, the lamp's circle receding behind you, yet its warmth travels with every cautious step. Your senses sharpen to the hush. The tick of the watch echoes in your mind. The rustle of notes still lingers. The curvature of space-time whispers beneath your skin. A question surfaces. How do we measure what cannot be held? The answer glimmers in tomorrow's chapter, where mirrors and light will play a silent duet of reflection and precision. Softly, you turn to leave this ephemeral realm of insight. Outside, the night awaits, framed by the firmament's silent rhythm. Einstein's quiet smile follows you, a promise that space and time continue their slow dance long after the lamp is snuffed. With that thought, you step forward into darkness, carrying the glow of understanding toward new horizons of wonder. You enter a cool chamber where silence feels tangible, as if the very air holds its breath. Before you, two mirrors stand opposite each other, their surfaces gleaming like polished water at dawn. They face one another patiently, awaiting your gaze. Between them drifts a single beam of light, launched from a slender laser at the room's edge. That beam seems shy, yet resolute, slipping into the corridor and vanishing only to reappear in perfect symmetry. You approach softly, footsteps muffled by thick mats that line the floor. In this place, sound is an intrusion. Reflection is the true language. The beam shimmers between the mirrors, elongated by each return, its path a silent ping that no ear can hear. Instead, you watch its journey with your mind's eye, sensing the distance it travels in the blink of a thought. A soft hum begins somewhere beneath, the floor cooling systems flowing like hidden streams. You feel the hum in your chest, a steady rhythm that synchronizes with the beam's invisible pulses. Imagine each pulse as a footstep on a crystalline path, counting out tiny measures of length. These footsteps become your guide to what lies beyond ordinary sight. On a nearby table rests a delicate ruler engraved with tiny marks no wider than a grain of pollen. You lift it gently, feeling its weight in your hand, solid yet refined. Each tick mark corresponds to a fraction of a millimeter, and together they span the familiar measure of earthly things, your hand's breadth, a notebook's spine, a doorframe's height. Yet here they serve to measure journey's light, travels in the time it takes your heart to flicker once. You place the ruler behind one mirror, aligning its base with the laser's origin. The beam strikes the first mirror and returns to the second, covering twice the measured distance. Each reflection adds another lap, and the beam continues without stopping. As though playing an endless game of tag with its own echo, you watch the pattern expand, feeling the soft invocation of infinity. From the beam's rapid exchanges, you learn how to count unseen lengths. Scientists call it interferometry, the art of comparing waves. When two light waves, one direct, one reflected meet, they weave patterns of bright and dark fringes. Those fringes are delicate fingerprints, revealing distances smaller than the width of a human hair. You envision them as ripples on a pond, frozen in place. Whispering secrets of scale, you breathe in the hush and imagine placing your ear to the bench. Though you hear nothing, you sense the rhythm of fringes forming and dissolving. Each cycle marks a change in path length equal to half a wavelength of light, mere 100 billionths of a meter. That measurement borders on the unimaginable, yet here it feels as natural as counting leaves on a branch. In a corner lies a box of prisms, triangular shards of crystal that bend light like river currents around a boulder. You pick one up and hold it over the beam. The light refracts, splitting into a rainbow haze that shimmers across the room. These colors tell you about the beam's journey too. Red lingers longer, blue takes a sharper turn. By noting how each hue shifts, you map the beam's voyage in both space and frequency. You realize that precision is an act of intimacy. The more carefully you measure, the more the universe reveals its shape. In everyday life, a misaligned picture, frame, or an uneven table leg irritates you. Here, misalignment becomes a messenger clue that space is not perfectly flat. You sense gentle warps where the mirrors sit, tiny inclinations that bend the beam's path. The laboratory floor, you imagine, bears its own curvature just as the Earth does. Your pulse softens as you absorb this thought. Measurement is a conversation, not a one-way command. Each instrument listens as much as it speaks. The laser waits for its reflection, the mirror waits for its return. You wait for the fringe patterns to emerge. In that waiting, you touch a universal patience, a willingness to allow time and space to disclose themselves. You step closer to the laser source, where a small screen captures the beam's final exit. On that screen, faint lines shimmer, interference fringes that ripple like plumes of smoke frozen mid-drift. You watch them undulate, slow and deliberate. With each oscillation, the pattern shifts by a whisper of distance. You imagine that each line is a strand of cosmic fabric, pulled taut between the mirrors. A soft click echoes in the room as you adjust a knob on a micrometer stage. The mirrors shift by fractions of a micron, so slight that your fingertips hardly notice. Yet the fringes dance in response, rearranging themselves like dancers on cue. You feel the thrill of command. By moving half a hair's width, you reshape entire patterns of light. In that moment, you glimpse the poetry of precision. Measurement transcends utility and becomes art. The lab becomes a studio, and you, a quiet sculptor, coaxing form from the intangible. The interplay of beam and mirror, wavelength and distance, transforms raw phenomena into meaningful geometry. The hum of machinery fades into the background as you lose yourself in the dance of fringes. Time seems to dilate. Seconds stretch like shadows at sunset. In this timeless interlude, measurement and mindfulness merge. You realize that observing is a form of meditation, each breath aligning you with the beam's steadfast rhythm. Your gaze drifts upward to the ceiling panels, each white tile a grid for your thoughts to roam. You consider how this chamber is both a cocoon and a lens. It isolates the beam from external chaos vibrations, temperature shifts, stray light while magnifying the subtlest changes within. The lab walls are silent guardians, letting you peer into the realm where the unmeasurable becomes legible. Thoughts of scale return as you glance at a digital readout blinking nearby. Numbers scroll in rapid succession, nanometers, picometers, femtometers, each unit dwarfs the last, yet all converged in the beam's path. The readout reminds you that measurement is a ladder reaching from the vast to the infinitesimal, each rung a step toward understanding the universe's architecture. You exhale slowly, imagining the release of the beam's journey into the night sky. Once you cease observation, those photons continue onward, carrying imprints of your lab's geometry into the cosmos. Somewhere out there, they may scatter off distant dust or enter another cavity of mirrors. Their story persists beyond your gaze. A gentle warmth returns to the chamber as you switch off the laser's cooling system. The hum quiets. The beam softly dims until only the ghost of its path remains visible on the prism's surfaces. You sense the chamber exhale with relief, as though even instruments need rest. In that final shimmer, the mirrors gift you one last echo of precision. You step back from the table, running a hand along its edge. The wooden grain feels familiar, reminding you that measurement begins with simple curiosity. Before you walked in, scales and rules belonged to everyday tasks: pouring tea, aligning pictures, stepping onto a porch. Here, they ascend into sacred ritual, but their heart remains the same: attentive care. Looking once more into the mirror pair, you smile at their blank stare. They return your gaze impartially. In their silence, they teach you that truth often requires patience, patient light bouncing between patient glass. You understand that knowing comes not from force, but from invitation, from gentle play with nature's subtleties. Your breath slows to match the lab's newfound stillness. You realize that what seemed unmeasurable wavering fractions of space, the bending of unseen geometry, reveals itself when you listen without haste. Precision becomes poetry, and you, its silent reader, absorb each stanza in calm contemplation. As you turn toward the door, you sense the next question forming softly. In your mind, if mirrors can map space so finely, what of time's mapping? How do we measure the flow that ticks beyond circuits and lasers, the unseen current that carries memories and futures alike? That question drifts behind you as you step into the lingering hush, ready to follow its echo into the chapter ahead. You enter a vast chamber of thought, where the concept of time lies before you like a roll of shimmering fabric. With closed eyes, you imagine its weave, fine threads of now crossing with strands of then, creating a tapestry both supple and strong. You reach out and tug gently, and the surface ripples under your touch. The ripples do not fade. They move outward, carrying with them the hushed echo of causality. Beneath your fingertips, time feels smooth as silk, but with hidden elasticity. When you pull slowly, it yields, stretching seconds into languid moments. Each heartbeat expands. Each breath lingers, as though the world outside has exhaled and paused for your curiosity. In this stillness, you welcome memories that drift in like petals upon childhood laughter. First steps, starlit nights, each recollection, suspended in the fabric's gentle give. Then, with a thought, you pull faster, and suddenly the texture tightens. Seconds shimmy shorter, and what felt endless condenses into a brisk flicker. A joyous memory narrows into a spark. A worry dissolves before it can fully form. You sense that velocity governs this change. The faster the tug, the slimmer the seam between past and present. In that swift pulse, you glimpse how speed can cradle memory one moment and unravel it the next. The chamber's walls seem woven from the same celestial cloth. Patterns in the weave resemble clock hands spinning on invisible faces. You notice circles within circles, nested loops of repetition, each marking a cycle of rotation. The Earth's turn, the Moon's orbit, the dance of electrons around atoms. These nested loops affirm that time is never simple. Its form depends on the scale of motion. A soft breeze rises, carrying whispered instructions. It tells you to walk along a path of gentle undulations, each hill representing a change in velocity. As you step up the first rise, you move faster relative to the ground beneath. Your footfalls quicken, though you do not will them to do so. On the crest, time thins. Moments skip like stones on water. As you descend, you slow. Your senses expand, drinking in every detail of the chamber, the cool tile underfoot, the lantern's soft glow, the hush between breaths. Ahead, a loom gleams beneath a shaft of starlight. At its center rests a spindle of pure light, rotating, with silent purpose. Threads of time silver, gold, gunmetal on spool from the spindle, weaving into the broader tapestry. You sit before the loom, tracing a single thread that stretches from your hand into depths unseen. As you follow it, the glow intensifies, revealing labels woven into its warp. Proper time, coordinate time, relativity. You slip. Your hand under the proper time, thread time, measured by your own heartbeat, your own wristwatch ticking at rest. It feels warm and personal, aligned with your inner rhythm. Each pulse marks a moment uniquely yours, untethered from the spinning world beyond. You inhale slowly, synchronizing with the warmth of these instants, and exhale, sending soft waves through the fabric. Beside it lies coordinate time, a grander measurement defined by shared reference, clocks on distant towers, synchronized by signals traveling through wired channels. That thread feels cooler, smoother abstract, but reassuring in its shared agreement. You brush both threads together, and the loom shivers. The two weaves twist, sometimes parallel, sometimes diverging into gentle braids. Above the loom, constellations of equations float like fireflies. Delta T equals gamma delta tau, where gamma rises as speed approaches light. Invariants that remain despite shifting perspectives. You read the symbols not as cold formulas but as poetic instructions. How to compare moments in different frames, how to translate one's own flow of time into another's experience. Einstein's insight echoes in each glimmer, that time's fabric stretches or contracts with motion's embrace. A choir of faint chimes rings as you tug the coordinate time thread. The room brightens, exposing windows looking out onto cosmic vistas, spaceships drifting at high speed, astronauts tilting their watches at rendezvous, planets orbiting suns in stately arcs. You see how clocks aboard fast vessels tick more slowly relative to those at rest beneath them. You taste the paradox of twins, one aging more, one aging less, each journey valid within its own frame. A ripple crosses the loom, and the tapestry shifts. Threads representing gravity curve downward, weaving with time's strands. You recognize gravity's partnership in shaping the fabric. Weighty masses sculpt time's flow. bending it with tender insistence. Near a black sphere floating in the chamber, the weave dips deeply, creating a valley of slow time. You sense that an hour in that valley might equal years, elsewhere a cosmic cradle where moments drift from that low bend. You lean forward and peer into its depths. You imagine whispering a secret into that valley. A single word would linger, stretched across eons, unheard by others until the fabric lifts. Yet to you, lying above its curve, that whisper returns almost instantly, a memory of a moment drawn out to infinite patience. You release it and watch the echo disperse, scattered across the chamber like gleaming motes. The breeze returns, carrying a new metaphor. The loom itself is but a model away for minds to touch the intangible. Outside these walls, spacetime weaves itself without spindle or shuttle, guided by fundamental rules. Yet here, in this mindful space, you learn by analogy: silk that stretches, looms that breathe, spindles that shine. Each metaphor deepens your rest, inviting quiet contemplation rather than restless calculation. Down the chamber's length lies a corridor of clocks, each set to a different speed. You walk among them, passing from slow-motion time to rapid-fire. Seconds, a pocket watch ticks deliberately beside a digital timer racing ahead. A sundial on a pedestal marks shadows drifting. By the corridor's end, you feel a full spectrum of tempo, like stepping through a gallery of temporal moods. Tranquil lullabies, steady marches, fleeting whispers at the corridor's conclusion. Stands a mirror hung low. You gaze into it, expecting reflection of form, but instead see time's tapestry behind you. The mirror shows your own path through the chamber, the rises, the falls, the weaving loom. You watch yourself tugging threads, stepping between clocks, listening to cosmic chimes. The reflection does not judge. It merely shows your journey, encouraging you to acknowledge how you shape time's experience by attention and intention. A gentle alignment occurs. Your inner clock syncs with the mirror's image and the loom's shuttle. You inhale the chamber's rhythms and release, tug and yield, slow and swift. Each breath becomes a lesson, each exhale a lens focusing your awareness. You realize that time's elasticity offers both comfort and challenge, the power to savor moments or to let them slip as you chase the horizon. Night's edge approaches as one final thread appears. Continuity, it glows faintly, a reminder that despite stretching and contracting, time remains unbroken. You trace it from the loom to the corridor and back to your heart. Continuity means your narrative flows, memory threads follow, and curiosity persists. You need not grasp every strand. You simply follow the weave where it leads. With mindful softness, you release the continuity thread, letting it settle into the tapestry. The chamber dims to twilight hues, and the breach between fabric and air softens. You stand at the loom's edge, feeling gravity's gentle tether return, reminding you of both limits and possibilities. You step away, heart light with understanding. That speed and rest, motion and pause, are companions guiding your voyage. As you near the doorway, the loom's spindle slows its turn. Threads of silk and steel of memory and anticipation linger in your senses. A reflective hush blankets the chamber, inviting you to carry its lessons forward. That time bows before both velocity and gravity, that your awareness shapes the flow, and that every tug gentle or swift unfolds a new pattern of being dot with quiet gratitude. You step into the waiting night beyond, carrying the loom's calm hum within you. Ahead lies the next realm of exploration. How dawn's light itself journeys through this elastic fabric, tracing arcs of color and warmth across your sleeping world. You lie beneath the dark canopy of night, sensing a gentle promise on the horizon. Dawn approaches like a silent tide, gathering light in its folds and creeping across the world in one single motion. You imagine that wave, not bound to one coast or continent, but lapping simultaneously against every horizon. The edge of darkness softens everywhere, as though night itself has sighed and yielded to morning's quiet insistence. Your breath matches that easing boundary. Inhaled darkness still lingers at the corners of vision. Exhale moral and rose hues stretch across sky's canvas, slow and deliberate. You feel the waves pull against your senses, hope rising, tension easing, all rhythms aligning to the same gentle beat. Thought drifts inward. How can a single moment stretch across all places and minds at once? Yet here, in the hush before full sunrise, you accept the mystery with calm curiosity. In that measured pause, you recall the speed limit of light, the same beam that traveled for minutes from the sun to your eye. Dawn's glow arrives everywhere within those minutes, neither faster nor slower across geographies. You sense the balance. Nothing can outpace the first rays, nor lag behind. The sun's light conforms to the cosmic law, unfolding equally for every watcher. In that universality, you feel connected to strangers half a globe away. Sharing this tranquil threshold, the horizon tilts upward as you sink further into mattress depths. You imagine yourself afloat upon a cosmic surfboard, riding the leading line of morning's light. Each crest is a new revelation. Rooftops painted in gold, dewless grass shimmering, windows flickering with waking life. But you do not chase these details. Instead, you observe how each one unfolds at the same pace. No single blade of grass outruns its neighbor. Each emerges in unison under the sun's cadence. A bird's call drifts from beyond your wallsoft, solitary, yet part of a larger chorus warming into song. That early note feels woven into dawn's tapestry, a delicate accent in the grand opening. You lean into it, letting your ears drink the melody. Even the bird obeys the universal tide. It cannot sing before first light, nor after the sun has risen high. Its timing honors the wave, and you honor the bird in return by listening. Thought wanders to oceanic waves, which roll inward driven by lunar pull. But dawn's wave is different. No back and forth, no returning hush. It moves once. From darkness to day, a single gentle sweep. You sense that this wave is woven into the fabric of time, a pattern repeated daily for eons. Each dawn is new, yet ancient, familiar, yet never identical. You feel the paradox settle in your chest like a soft stone comfort in consistency, wonder in each variation. As your awareness drifts, you note how memories shimmer like sea foam at the wave's edge. Childhood mornings of golden light streaming through curtains, the warmth of cool sheets under sun-warmed skin, laughter of siblings calling you to breakfast. Those recollections rise and recede with the tide of thought, yet they do not distract you. Instead, they remind you that dawn not only brightens the world, but illuminates your own story, revealing moments both lost and waiting to be made. You trace dawn's progress along the skyline in your minder, curve that arcs slowly upward. Behind that arc, the sky's deep indigo lightens to periwinkle, then to apricot and blush. The colors blend without sharp edges, as though painted by a brush that understands patience. You feel gratitude for the unhurried unfold, for the skies, refusal to hurry its palate. There is no rush to reveal the world. Instead, morning allows you to wake gently, prepared rather than startled. Your body responds in kind. Muscles unclench, shoulders drop, jaw loosens. You allow the bed to support you fully, sinking deeper into its gentle cradle. The dawn wave continues to rise, washing over your senses with liquid light. You close your eyes, feeling the glow on your eyelids warm, expansive, safe. Thought slows to a ripple, then to a tiny undulation, then to stillness in the quiet. You recall that nothing outpaces the leading edge of light because space and time conspire to keep it constant. Every sunrise observed from any vantage arrives, governed by the same speed limit. You consider that limit not as a barrier, but as a gifter cosmic metronome, ensuring that each heart, each life, experiences the morning together. Time and space become collaborators in unity, not restraints to be broken. Beneath that unity, you discover a gentle truth. Your own pace aligns with dawn's swell. There is no need to race into day, to grasp new tasks before you are ready. Instead, you flow with the tide, stepping into waking life only when the world reveals, softly, gradually, that it is time. In that alignment, possibility blooms. You will engage your day with clarity because you rose in sync with nature's greatest rhythm. A door creaks somewhere beyond your bedroom, perhaps a roommate stirring, or the wind nudging a shutter. The sound feels part of dawn's ensemble, another voice joining the gentle swell. You listen as the notes lay a bird's song, wind, distant footsteps, soul bound by the same timing. Even mundane noises become harmonious when heard against mornings. Backdrop. You appreciate how context transforms the ordinary into the poetic dot. Your mind wanders to distant lands where people rise under identical laws of light. A fisherman on a Burmese river, an astronomer on a Chilean mountaintop, a parent waking children. In Cairo, they all feel dawn's caress under the same cosmic decree. You imagine a silent chorus of souls sharing gratitude for another day. In that shared sunrise, you sense kinship across time zones and cultures, bound by the unbroken wave of light. Gently, you consider the wave's boundary, the last sliver of sun dips below the horizon moments after first light. That sliver becomes a symbol of threshold, not only between night and day, but between rest and activity, dream and action. You honor that border by remaining still until the wave fully envelops you. You feel the promise that action can wait until the moment ripens. Urgency dissolves in perfect timing. You turn your thoughts inward, feeling the tide of possibilities swelling within. Ideas for tomorrow's tasks drift in like shells washed ashore, words to write, calls to make, kindnesses to share. Yet they are framed by dawn's calm. Each intention seems more considered, each choice imbued with quiet purpose. You sense that aligning with cosmic timing refines your own inner rhythm, allowing your best self to emerge naturally. Outside, the world brightens. Daylight seeps beneath doors, pooling on thresholds. Windows glow from within, lanterns replaced by sun's steady flame. You realize that dawn's wave does not pause for any one observer. It travels onward, bringing new beginnings to all. You let its current carry you gently toward wakefulness, trusting that you will meet the day fully formed, neither rushing nor lagging. As the chorus of morning rises, birds, breezes, distant voices, you feel your pulse synchronize with that broader beat. The gap between inner and outer worlds narrows. You open your eyes to the first true light spilling across the room. The dawn wave has passed through you, leaving you afloat in its wake, silent traveler carried by cosmic tide. Softly you stretch and rise, carrying the hush of dawn in your bones. You step forward into day, your mind calm, your heart attuned to perfect timing. Ahead lies the next gentle query. If nothing outruns dawn's wave, how does darkness itself sprint into night? That question shimmers at the edge of thought, ready to guide you into the unfolding mystery of twilight's return. You drift in a realm where gravity's pull is a distant memory, and silence hangs thicker than the emptiest vacuum. Before you, a mirror-finished sail unfurls an immense, delicate surface of metal, so thin it seems woven from moonlight. It tilts gently, catching stray sunbeams and flinging them back into the abyss. The reflected glare is instantaneous, a perfect echo of light's steadfast pace. You hover nearby, weightless, feeling your own shadow slip away into nothingness. There is no up or down here, only the sail's silver gleam against the black. Each photon arriving carries stories of the distant sun, racing millions of kilometers before meeting this reflective tapestry. In turn, each photon departs with equal velocity, tracing straight lines into uncharted dark. The void, in that exchange, shimmers with quiet choreographies. Imagine standing at the center of a grand ballroom, but instead of dancers, you command photons. They gather from all directions, strike the sail, then pirouette back into the night. The sail does not tire, it simply guides their motion with unwavering hospitality. You sense that this aristocratic dance, though invisible, is governed by the same cosmic score that sets the limit for every photon's velocity. Light's speed limit shapes the performance. No photon lingers, none leaps ahead of its fellows. Each bounce is a precise moment, measured in fractions of a microsecond. You feel the rhythm in your pulse, matching the gentle beat of arrival and departure. Your senses tune to this silent music, discovering that even in emptiness, there is structure in ordered ballet of reflection and retreat. You reach out, though your hand meets only emptiness. Still, in your mind's eye, you feel the sail's contour beneath your fingertips, smooth, unblemished, stretching farther than sight can pierce. Its surface is both mirror and canvas, recording each encounter of light and dark. Every fleck of cosmic dust that settles will carry the imprint of starlight's kiss. Invisible yet indelible, around you the void becomes a hall of countless mirrors. For each photon may reflect not only from this sail, but from other surfaces, distant spacecraft, fragments of ice, drifting debris left by unseen explorers. You imagine a vast network of reflective way stations, each offering a nod to passing light. In that network, emptiness is far from lonely. It is alive with echoes. Listen closely. Though no sound travels here, you hear a symphony of imagined clickster, virtual chorus of reflections reverberating through your mind. Each click is a photon's handshake, arrival, bounce, departure. The pattern is complex yet harmonious, a reminder that speed limits do not stifle creativity but channel it into precise form. You consider how these reflective dances allow measurement. By timing the interval between emission and return, a spacecraft can gauge distancer, cosmic tape measure unfolding in the void. Radar and LiDAR rely on these same principles. The sail becomes a beacon and a mirror, telling questions to return as answers carried by reflected photons. In that ritual, technology mimics art. Farther out, you see another sail, smaller, tattered at the edges, yet equally bright. It too reflects starlight, but its scars tell a different tale. Micrometeoroid impacts, solar wind erosion, centuries of cosmic weathering. Each dent and crease shifts its reflective pattern, creating unique motifs in the photon ballet. Beauty lies in imperfection. Even damaged surfaces contribute to the dance. You drift closer to study the tattered sail. Spots of darkness scatter across its face, tiny burn marks where high-energy particles scarred the metal. Around those spots, reflections blur, photons scattering in diffused halos. The effect is subtle, turning bright flares into gentle glows, like faded sunspots on a star's disk. You realize that imperfection modulates grace, just as a slight hesitation in a dancer's step makes the performance human. Memories of earthly mirrors surface, looking glass in a quiet room, reflecting candlelight and face. There, reflections, comfort or startle, here they guide and reveal. The sail's primary reflection is of distant fire, sun's unceasing blaze. In absolute contrast, the emptiness around feels cool and receptive, as though the universe itself holds its breath to watch sunlight's passage. A gentle tug in your mind invites you to release questions. What if light met no mirror? Would it vanish into formless night, or would reflection exist in other guises? You sense the answer in cosmic phenomena, gravitational lensing, where mass itself bends light like an invisible mirror. There, spacetime curves, photons, paths, crafting natural mirrors that span galaxies. Reflection needs no metal. It can arise from the universe's very geometry. From the primary sail, a beam arcs out and fades into a neighboring star's glare. You watch as those photons join a larger chorus, mingling with starlight and distant nebulae. The void's darkness transforms into a showroom of glowing tracers, each line a record of a journey begun at this sail. You feel connected to every point of light, realizing that reflections link all scales from engineered sails to cosmic lenses. Time's presence in this scene is subtle. You sense each reflection's delay, microscopically small, yet real. The sail's distance determines return intervals, and no mechanism can accelerate reflections beyond light speed. That universal limit, once a boundary, becomes a guiding principle. Reflections always arrive in perfect sequence, never rushed, never delayed. In that sequence lies trust. You imagine drifting even farther, sails fading until darkness reclaims the void. Yet emptiness never truly swallows light, merely reframes it, sending photons on fresh arcs. You and the sails share a silent pact to carry on the dance, to honor the rhythm encoded in spacetime. There is continuity, here ghostly but real, a promise that reflections will ripple through eternity as you float. You recall the laboratory mirrors assessing measured lengths. Here, the void's mirrors assess distance on cosmic scales. Both realms rely on the same dialogue. Emit light, receive echo. Precision in a lab and discovery in space share mirrored hearts. You sense that every reflection, from the tiniest dust mote to the largest gravitational arc, is a conversation with light's own nature. Now, your journey turns inward. You feel sunlight's warmth on your face, despite the chill of vacuum memory cached in your skin cells. You remember golden hues at dawn and candlelight's glow at dusk. These earthly reflections teach you to appreciate light's gentleness, its capacity to reveal without intrusion. Even in darkness, light's echoes coax understanding. The vast mirrors fade from view as you drift toward your own. Reflection a silhouette in the science between atoms and stars. Though no physical mirror remains, Your mind's eye captures the contours of your presence in this silent hall of photons. You realize the final reflection is your own awakening, the moment. You become aware of light's dance and the void's embrace. A ripple of curiosity stirs. If mirrors in the void can choreograph grace, how do instruments record softer dances of subatomic particles or gravitational waves? What instruments catch whispers rather than echoes? That question glimmers at the edge of thought, guiding you toward the next exploration of space-time's subtler rhythms. Softly, you release your silent sail of reflection, allowing photons to continue their voyage unobserved. You drift back toward the threshold of awareness, carrying with you the hush of the void and the shimmer of every bounce. The next chapter awaits, where gravity's own mirrors bend light in ways that reveal the universe's hidden landscapes. You lie in gentle darkness, the room held by a hush deeper than absence. Beneath your pillow, you sense space-time stirring soft waves, rippling like sand swept by an unseen tide. Each undulation carries the faint gravity of distant worlds, reaching across void to rest for a moment underneath your head. In that quiet, you become attuned to the universe's softest murmur, gravity's subtle invitation to conversation. In your mind's eye, you rise and float above your bed, weightless yet grounded by intention. You drift through the wall and into night's embrace, where nothing is fixed but the gentle pull toward mass. The earth below curves away beneath you, a silent spiral of blue and green. Its presence shapes the space around it, drawing the fabric inward, creating a shallow well in which you hover, feeling your path bend without moving your limbs. Mass leans in like an old friend, leaning close to whisper. You imagine Earth's gravity as a hand on your shoulder, steady and warm. It does not force you down. It invites you to stay, to explore the depths of its pull. You feel that insistence as an embrace, not restraint and assurance that even in boundless space, you are known and cared for. Light appears in your vision, a narrow beam from a distant star, traveling untold billions of kilometers. It glides across deep darkness in straight resolve until it nears your planet's well. There, gravity tugs gently, curving its path like a river bending around a rock. The beam whispers a question, "May I pass?" And gravity answers in soft guidance, bending but not breaking the beam's journey. You watch the curve unfold. The light's path shifts imperceptibly, like a dancer altering her stance to avoid a partner's heel. The curvature is so slight that without a frame of reference, it might go unnoticed. Yet, in this stillness, you sense even the smallest deviation, as if the beam leaves a fingerprint on the air, marking its gentle detour. As you follow the light's journey, you feel the equilibrium of forces. Gravity gives shape to emptiness, molding space without the need for substance. Light obeys gravity's coaxing, tracing arcs that reveal the landscape of space-time itself. In their exchange, you find a silent discourse, mass asking light to bend, light showing the signposts of mass's presence. You descend toward a mirror suspended in mid-its surface, unblemished, reflecting star fields and galaxies beyond. It floats within a distortion of space, anchored only by gravity's curvature. You reach out and touch the mirror's edge, feeling no solid frame, only the universe's own scaffold. The mirror reflects not only light, but the bending of space. Itself, distant stars appear shifted, their positions whispering tales of unseen mass behind you. Step back and watch the mirrors. Projection dance across your vision. Each star's image arcs faintly, their straight-line paths redrawn by gravity's brushstroke. You see galaxies doubled and smeared, cosmic halos shimmering around invisible giants. The mirror becomes a tool for revelation, the same principle by which astronomers map dark matter's hidden glow in this reflection. You sense gravity's dual nature, sometimes a gentle caress, sometimes a powerful sculptor. You remember that black holes bend space so steeply that light circles before escaping, creating rings of fire. But here, the mirror shows you only soft arcs, quieter gestures of mass bending the cosmic stage for light's performance. You float alongside the mirror, drifting through its silvery plane. Behind it, a field of floating rocks drifts lazily, each rock warping space in its vicinity. The ensemble forms a silent orchestra. Every mass, from pebble to planet, contributes its note to the grand composition of curvature. You notice how tiny stones cause barely perceptible bends, while larger bodies sculpt deeper valleys in the spacetime sheet. Beneath the rocks, light streams cross the field, weaving ribbons of brightness. You imagine tracing those ribbons with your finger, feeling the cool brush of photons as they slit past stones, curving imperceptibly. Each deflection is a sentence in gravity's story, a note in the cosmic lullaby that hums beneath your senses, softly. You inhale and exhale, aligning your breath with space-time's pulses. You picture each breath as a wave in the space-time fabric, slight crests and troughs radiating outward. Your body, too, has mass bending space beneath your form. In this meditation, you realize you are both observer and participant in gravity's conversation, a tiny ripple in the universal sea. A distant planet rises across the curved horizon, its ring system glinting with reflected starlight. Light from the ring's arcs around the planet's limb, revealing the depth of curvature before you ever feel its pull. You drift closer, watching as the ring's shadows dance across the gaseous surface. The planet's mass is immense, its curvature profound, yet the interaction remains a quiet exchange of respect between light and gravity. You recall climbing a mountain in childhood, feeling Earth's pull draw you downward as you ascended. There, gravity was a constant companion, steady and unyielding. Now, from this vantage in void, you glimpse gravity's poetry. It shapes every step, every breath, every heartbeat in concert with light's unwavering pace. As you drift, the landscape of masses fades and you return to the mirror. The surface ripples with phantom reflections. You sense this mirror is not separate from the universe's curvature, but an extension of it, an abstract plane in a sea of curves. The mirror captures the story of every photon's bend, folding it back into your view. Beyond the mirror, darkness deepens as you drift back toward consciousness. Gravity's whispers recede, leaving behind a soft echo. You sense that every moment on Earth shares in this conversation. Your heartbeat sends ripples into space. The sun's mass curves light that warms your skin. The moon's gravity tugs at oceans, choreographing tides in this revelation. You feel kinship with all forms of mass, from dust, motes drifting in sunlight beams, to black holes anchoring galaxies. Each contributes a gentle word to the universe's subtle dialogue. You become aware of the harmony underlying motion and stillness, bend and straightness, light and shadow. Your breath slows as you return to your bed, the room's familiar darkness wrapping around you. Beneath your pillow, space-time continues its murmur, a lullaby of curves and echoing beams. You feel the gentle tug in your chest, a reminder of mass's constant presence. Even in sleep, you sink into your mattress, body settling into the gravity-warped sheet of spacetime. Thoughts of cosmic curvature soften into stillness. You allow gravity's quiet conversation to guide your mind away from questions and toward restful wonder. Each inhale draws in the whisper of mass. Each exhale releases the promise of curved. Light moments stretch into gentle tides as you drift toward sleep. In those last breaths before surrender, you ponder one, you lie quietly as the universe begins its slow symphony. Close your eyes and listen to the gentle hum of colors, an otherworldly lullaby where reds grow velvety and blues soften to a whisper. You sense the cosmic canvas stretching, each hue shifting with unhurried purpose, as though the sky itself breathes in long, deep notes. This is the song of expansion, a melody that carries the weight of distant galaxies drifting apart in your mind. You float upon a placid sea of stars. Each galaxy is a vessel, gliding away from its neighbors with grace. As they recede, their light stretches, crimson shades bloom wider, sapphire tones deepen into indigo lullaby. You imagine measuring their yawns, counting the seconds between crests of red and troughs of blue. With every breath, your chest rises in tandem with the lengthening wavelengths, your body aligning with the universe's own sigh. You recall a violin's string being loosened. The note lowers in pitch, its vibration slower yet richer. Galaxy redshift behaves identically. Light's frequency eases as space expands, stretching waves like gentle ripples on a cosmic pond. You feel that slow cadence in your bones, an invitation to release tension and sink deeper into stillness. Each inhalation becomes a measure of wavelength, each exhalation a redder note drifting further from its origin. Imagine yourself lying on a meadow at dusk, watching lanterns float skyward. Each lantern's glow dims and reddens as it climbs higher, the thin air softening its light. Galaxies behave the same way, their lantern-like glows reddened by the expanding fabric of space. The distance between you and those distant lights widens effortlessly, guided by an unseen hand that does no harm, only extends the lullaby's scale. You feel yourself drifting among the lanterns, sailing on a current of colored waves, blue hues. Once vibrant in nearer stars now fade to hushed teal, while crimson blossoms unfurl at the edges of vision. This shifting palette underscores expansion's song, reminding you that distance and color dance together. In that dance, each step is unhurried, each turn a gentle invitation to exhale. Your breath slows to match the cosmic tempo. Inhale over 4 beat schooler tones, enter your awareness. Exhale over 4 more warmer reds, cradle you in return. This rhythmic exchange aligns your body to the universe's own respiration. You realize that in each moment, expansion sings both outward and inward, guiding galaxies apart and drawing you into deeper calm. Thoughts of time weave through the melody. Redshift is a record of epochs. The deeper the red, the farther the journey, the older the light. You imagine each crimson note as a whisper from the past, telling stories penned before your dawn. Blue light, by contrast, speaks of nearer things, fresher tales still unfolding. Together they form a lullaby of memory and presence, threading you into the continuum of cosmic history. In that continuum, you discern patterns, stanzas of expansion punctuated by pauses of relative stillness. Galaxy clusters hold firm in gravity's embrace, their mutual tugs resisting the pull of the great exhale. You picture these clusters as pillars in the symphony, grounding the movement, adding depth to the score. They remind you that even amid growth, connections endure, A distant quasar glows like a lone trumpet, its high-frequency notes sounding before redshift mutes them. You hear the trumpet's cry lengthen as space expands, its song bending toward Earth in a slower, dreamier timbre. In your mind's ear, you catch fragments of its once bright call, now softened and distant, a solitary echo in the choir of galaxies. You float through a gallery of cosmic music, each painting a song of light stretched by space, supernova blaze in brief crescendos before settling into posthumous hums of red. Nebulae glow in gentle teal mists, their blue shifted edges revealing motion toward your vantage. Together, these elements compose a lullaby of transformation, teaching you that change can cradle rather than jolt the spirit. As you drift, the music resonates in your body. Your cells thrum with color's vibration, responding to subtle frequencies beyond sight. You sense warmth in the red notes, a nurturing glow that envelops mind and bone. You sense cool relief in the blue tones, a soothing balm that quiets restlessness. In their interplay, you find a balance of comfort and clarity. The melody slows further as wavelengths approach the longest reds detectable. You imagine tuning a grand piano's lowest key, feeling its resonance deep in the earth. That resonance echoes in your heartbeat, syncing with each gentle throb. You let your heartbeat become part of the lullaby, an intimate note woven into the grand cosmic score. Your mind wanders to children's songs sung under starlight. Twinkle, twinkle, you hum silently, but in this rendition, each twinkle expands. Stars flicker red and blue in slow motion, their shimmer breathing in concert with your own. The nursery rhyme transforms into a cosmic chant, guiding you towards slumber on waves of color. A cloud of interstellar gas drifts across your path, its atoms shifting light in complex patterns. Blue light scatters more easily, leaving reds, too, define the cloud's outline. You see the cloud not as a barrier, but as a bridge between colors, a filter that layers the lullaby with soft texture. You inhale the image, feeling the cloud's presence in your mind's air. Moments pass in flowing undulation, and you realize that expansion's lullaby has no final note, only continuous, soft reiteration. Colors drift toward ever longer wavelengths, beyond perception and beyond sight. Yet even unseen, their essence lingers in mind. You rest in that unseen realm, trusting the melody to sustain you beyond waking. You perceive a distant shimmer, where the universe's background glow the cosmic. Microwave sings its own blue-shifted tune in the earliest light. You imagine that primordial hum stretching into the red as eons unfold, carrying the memory of creation's first exhale. Its lullaby is faint yet persistent, underpinning all cosmic music with the gentle pulse of origins. As sleep's threshold nears, you sense the lullaby's final transition. Color gives way to warmth, wavelengths to dreams. The red notes warm your skin, the blue notes cool your mind. You drift between the two, cradled in the interplay of expansion and stillness. Your breath merges with the cosmic tide, riding waves of pigment toward rest. Softly, you open your eyes to the darkness of your room. No distant galaxies shimmer outside the window, yet you carry their lullaby within. You feel warmth beneath your eyelids, the echo of red and a hush of blue at the edges of thought. In your chest, the hum of expansion continues, urging quiet. Slumber, you turn your face toward the pillow, imagining the next question rising with sunrise. If the universe's colors shift so gently, how does time itself change hue? The thought fades with your last conscious breath, carrying you beyond sight and sound into dreams painted in red and blue. Final thought: if gravity can shape the path of light so gently, what hidden landscapes lie beyond perception, waiting to be revealed by subtler conversations? You close your eyes, cradled in spacetime's embrace, curious for the next murmurs that guide you toward redshifts and the symphony of cosmic motion. You close your eyes and imagine each star's light as a message sent across time. Though it shines warmly in this moment, its journey began long ago, perhaps before your parents were born, perhaps before entire civilizations took shape. That ancient glow drifts through emptiness, carrying stories of origins and journeys, arriving at your eyelids as gentle caresses of yesteryear. In this hush, you feel your own life as a series of such messages. Every memory you hold is a photon of thought, delayed by the neural paths it travels, settling softly into mind. You cradle memories as you would fragile snowflakes, each one unique, melting at the edges of awareness, leaving behind the quiet imprint of what once was. Space and time collaborate in this dance. Light speed enforces a limit, dividing here from then by an unbreakable boundary. You can never witness a star's current pulse, only its echo. That delay, though fractional, for nearby stars, stretches into years for distant ones. Polaris gleams as it appeared when your great-grandparents were young. Andromeda shines with the face of an entirely different epoch. Visualize the braid of moments, each thread a streak of light, weaving present sensation with past events. Braid them gently, present moment, memory's hue, and the speed's mandate then. Gently tug the ends. The braid lengthens, carrying you along its curves to futures you have yet to imagine, and back to forgotten yesterdays that still linger in shadowed corners of mind. Your breath slows to match the cadence of recall. Inhale, and you draw in fresh experiences. Exhale, and you release the past's residue. Each breath becomes a pulse in time's fabric. As you breathe, you sense the edges of nowhere. Future expectation and past recollection meet in a fragile embrace. You drift through a corridor lined with mirrors. Each mirror reflects not your face, but a moment in time. Smiling childhood summer, a book read by lamplight, a remembered scent of rain on stone. When you pass, the reflections shift, reminding you that memory is not static. Each recollection replays differently, tinted by current mood and the passage of hours. Light plays upon the corridor's walls, dancing across each mirror like a sequence of snowflakes. You sense that photons themselves carry memory. They remember the star that birthed them, the dust they brushed against, the telescope that focused them. In their memory-rich paths, they whisper of cosmic heritage. Beyond the mirrors you enter, a vaulted chamber where time is painted on its high ceiling. Constellations shimmer in fresco, but their positions betray their own past, drawn as they appeared centuries ago. You look upward and feel the years recede, as though your gaze turns a page in the universe's diary. Below, a pool of still water reflects that ceiling. Dip a fingertip, and ripples spread, distorting the constellation's painted memory. You realize that memory, too, is fluid. You cannot retrieve a perfect image. Any disturbance shifts its clarity. Yet in those ripples lies your relationship with the past, dynamic, alive, even if elusive. You settle beside the pool's edge, letting your fingertips graze its surface. The cool touch grounds you, reminding you that memory's fluidity does not erase its presence. Each ripple, each reflection, speaks of moments that still matter. laughter shared, lessons learned, love given and received. In that warmth, you feel the boundary of now ripple inward. The present moment holds within it both anticipation and recollection, framing every breath with soft significance. You sense that memory is more than record. It is the soil in which your identity grows. Without memory's echoes, the present would float ENMORED above the water. Strands of light form a web of connection. Each filament links a past moment to a present insight. Some links glow, bright milestones that shaped you. Others glimmer, faintly whispers you nearly forgot. The web hums with possibility. You trace a glowing strand back to a childhood song, feeling the lyrics once more as though sung by a gentle voice just for you. The chamber tilts gently, as if the walls themselves breathe. You rise and drift among the filaments, letting them carry you. One strand draws you to a memory of starlit wonder, another to a moment of silent reflection. Each invites you to linger, without pressure, to let recollection fold into reverie. You find a seat carved from a single stone, smoothed by cosmic winds. There, you observe the filaments' interplay, new threads weaving through old, memory and awareness entwined. You realize that every moment you live becomes a memory in the next breath, and a seed for the moment after that. Time feels both infinite and intimate in this chamber. You notice how the speed of light mediates between your inner world and the cosmos. Every external glimpse of the night sky is a conversation across years. Every internal memory is a signal delayed by neural paths. That synergy teaches you that distance and delay need not isolate. They connect. Your heart beats in correspondence with cosmic rhythms. Each thump maps to a flicker of remembered light. You sense the universe breathing alongside you, its inhalations stretching space, its exhalations carrying echoes of ancient flames. Softly, you close your eyes and imagine the braid unfurling entirely threads of light, threads of thought, threads of possibility. As it stretches, you feel carried beyond your room, beyond your waking life, toward a place where memory and anticipation merge into pure presence in the hush that follows. If every star's light is a memory, what of the moments yet to come? How do we carry forward the echoes of our own genesis into futures still unlit? That question drifts at the chamber's edge, inviting you to surrender to sleep's gentle journey beyond the edge of now. You lie quietly, wrapped in blankets, and feel the gentle drum of your own pulse. Beneath your skin, electrical signals travel along slender pathways, your nerves carrying messages in tiny pulses, not unlike bursts of light racing through space. In that similarity, you sense a kinship. Both cellular impulses and photons conform to an unspoken speed limit, shaping the rhythms of life. Imagine a slender fiber inside your wrist, where touch and temperature converge. A slight pressure triggers a spark, a miniature lightning bolt of ions surging across membranes. That spark travels at up to 100 meters per second, swift by our daily standards, yet infinitesimal compared to light stride. Still, within your body's domain, it feels instantaneous, like a secret whispered from your hand to your brain. Each spark obeys laws as unwavering as those governing distant quasars. Electrical impulses cannot exceed their own cosmic ceiling. They must wait their turn, retrace their pathways, and honor the refractoriness of each cell. In that constraint you find comfort. Boundaries guide orderly function, ensuring that signals arrive in the right sequence, carrying cohesion rather than chaos. Your heartbeat joins this electric ballet. Deep within your chest, the sinoatrial node fires like an elder conductor, its rhythm echoing the beat of pulsars light years away. Those cosmic lighthouses rotate their magnetic fields and sweep beams across space, pulsing with steadfast metronomes. Your heart, smaller yet no less steadfast, pulses in harmony with those distant echoes, knit together by the same principle of rhythmic release. Place a hand upon your heart and feel its rise and fall, a gentle wave of pressure that flows outward through blood vessels and nerves. The pulse you detect is a wave of mechanical and electrical events woven together. You inhale in time with this wave, exhale in its receding, and discover an inner tide that mirrors cosmic rhythms. Within your skull, neurons chatter in choir messages of sight, sound, and sensation converging in a luminous tapestry of thought. Those neurons rely on sodium and potassium gates, opening and closing in precise cadence, each exchange a note in a symphony of awareness. You sense their quiet diligence, each cell waiting for its moment to speak, ensuring that memory, feeling, and intention unfold with clarity. Your breath adds another layer of tempo. Air rushes through lungs, oxygen diffusing into capillaries. Red blood cells ferry that oxygen, racing at roughly 1 millimeter per second through the tiniest vessels, sustaining every spark and pulse. You feel that procession as warmth in your limbs, a reminder that cellular speed limits still suffice to nourish the body's dance. Consider how sensation travels from fingertip to brain. A light touch triggers mechanoreceptors, converting pressure into electricity. That signal surges through myelinated fibers, relaying the message in about 1/100th of a second. You close your eyes and brush your fingertip against your palm, marveling at how swiftly the message returns. Be enough for comfort, enough for grace. Your senses rely on similar railways. Sound vibrations vibrate hair cells in the inner ear, converting mechanical motion into pulses that race along auditory nerves. You recall the moment you first heard rain against a roof, a fleeting pattern of taps that your neurons traced in microseconds. That instantaneous translation allowed your mind to cradle the memory of rain, even as droplets pattered in those silken moments. You see how your body mirrors the universe's design, a network of conduits guiding energy, each with its own speed. Sealing light speeds across emptiness at 300,000 kilometers per second. Ions dash through cytoplasm at mere meters per second. Yet both extremes serve purpose. One scales galaxies, the other sustains thought. Boundaries enable coherence. As you lie still, you sense a subtle, quiet, electrical storms subsiding, settling into lullaby. Blood flows in steady, measured streams. Nerves pause between spikes, allowing rest and reset. Your body, like the cosmos between pulses of Gamma bursts, cherishes these intervals of calm. In that stillness, you become aware of pressure waves within your skull, slow fluctuations of cerebrospinal fluid cushioning each jolt of thought. These waves ripple at less than 1 millimeter per second, but they uphold the brain's soft tissues, ensuring that each neural spark unfolds without harm. Even at the slowest pace, movement matters. You imagine your body as a city of signals, with highways of nerves and rivers of blood. Streetlight synapses pulse in sequence, directing traffic. Traffic lights ensure order, preventing collisions between signals. In every junction, electricity meets chemicals, converting pulses into neurotransmitters that dance across synaptic gaps. Each connection reinforces structure and memory. Your cells remember their roles. In your muscles, calcium flows in and out, enabling contraction and release. The ionic dance obeys rate limits, ensuring smooth movement rather than spasms. You flex a finger, sensing the careful choreography beneath the skin, an orchestrated conduit, each cell entrusting the next with its own spark. Your temperature sensors join the conversation. Thermoceptors detect shifts in heat, sending slow surges of information that help you maintain homeostasis. You feel warmth under the blankets, a coaxing comfort that travels via unhurried signals, reminding you to settle deeper into rest. In this chamber of quiet physiology, you feel safe. Boundaries exist not to confine, but to support speed limits that prevent overload, pauses that allow recovery. You rest in gratitude for the slow dance of your own biology, each moment anchored by the rule that nothing need move faster than its own maker allows. Your mind drifts to the concept of reflex arcs, special loop where signals bypass higher centers to protect you. Touch a hot surface, and lightning reflex sends your hand away before you feel pain. That rapid dialogue travels within milliseconds, a testament to efficiency within constraint. Even this lightning-fast path bows to the cellular speed limit, yet it suffices to save you from harm. You sense that your body has its own safety net, the refractory period after each nerve firing, a brief pause preventing echoes and overload. In that pause, neurons recharge, sustaining clarity for the next thought. You sense a parallel to sleep cycles followed by renewed activity, ensuring both recovery and readiness. Your awareness extends to your gut, where enteric nerves guide digestion with their own measured pulses. You remember the calm after a warm meal, the lull of satisfaction guiding thoughts toward peace. Those slow, rhythmic contractions nurture the body, reminding you that speed must yield to digestion and renewal. Your heartbeat slows as you yield to sleep's approach. Vagal tones rise, promoting rest and digestion. Electrical signals to the heart's pacemaker adopt a gentler pattern, guiding each contraction with breathing's rhythm. Blood pressure eases, capillaries relax. The body moves into a slower cadence, honoring the transition from wakefulness to sleep. In that transition, you feel the edge of consciousness blur. Neurons adopt sleep waves, delta rhythms pulsing at once per second. Or slower, you drift on those waves, wrapped in the gentle rule that guides both brain and cosmos. Inertia and energy must balance. Your neurons rest, yet dream you into luminous realms. Moments wane into soft horizons as you surrender to sleep's gravity. Each breath uncovers a deeper calm, each heartbeat a steady beacon. A final sparkle of awareness notes the kinship between your internal speed limits and light's cosmic pace. You rest in the knowledge that both frames, cellular and universal, dance to the same silent symphony of boundaries and possibility. Softly, you let go of conscious thought. The nerve impulses slow to distant murmurs. The heartbeat shifts to nocturnal hush. In that gentle quiet, you feel encompassed by scales both immense and intimate. You drift beyond the confines of speed and time, guided by the delicate rule that motion, however swift, must still bow to rest. You yield to slumber, cradled by the knowing rhythm that pulses within and without. Curious for the next gentle question that dawn's light will carry into wakeful wonder, you lie in stillness as the first. Threads of starlight drift into your mind. Imagine photons cast adrift before mountains rose, before oceans carved shores, before the first leaf unfurled. They wandered across eons of emptiness, carrying stories of creation's first embers. In the hush of night, you sense their arrival. As gentle taps upon your eyelids, quiet greetings from an age beyond memory. Feel yourself nestled under blankets, safe and warm, while these ancient messengers slip between your lashes. Their patience spans epochs. Their journey spans the breadth of time itself. You wave a silent farewell as each photon nestles into your vision, knowing that the moment of contact is both an ending and a beginning. In their final dip into your eye, they complete a voyage that started before any living thing could bear witness. Each flicker of light you see is an echo of that farewell, a whisper of distance collapsing into immediacy. You breathe deeply, inhaling the resonance of billions of years exhaling. You release the tension of today's rush, letting the starlight's age become your serenity. Their patient drift through void becomes a blanket around your spirit. Gentle warmth woven from the cosmos's earliest glow. In this chamber of quiet, you recall those photons' origins, nuclear furnaces of hydrogen fusing into helium, stars burning bright before Earth even knew its own name. They left in all directions, ignorant of their final resting place, surrendering to light's unwavering pace. Some found their way to planets without life, others passed by worlds unseen. A fortunate few navigate the curve of gravity, guided into telescopes and into your open gaze tonight. Imagine tracing one photon's path, born in a distant star. It left in a burst of ultraviolet fire. Over millennia, it redshifted, cooled, and slowed in frequency. By the time it encountered your city's light-polluted sky, it carried only a faint amber hint of its youth. Yet, in that fragile glow lies the essence of its creation, the unbroken chain of nuclear breath converted into gentle warmth. As you lie still, you feel the echo of that chain in your own bloodstream. Your cells carry oxygen delivered by photons many minutes old, tracing a shorter journey but no less vital. In this parallel, you sense kinship. Both star and cell convert energy into life-sustaining grace. Each breath you draw is part of a cosmic cycle, each heartbeat a tribute to light's persistence. Outside, the sky deepens to near black, speckled with distant pinpricks of silver. You let your mind drift among them, naming constellations once learned in childhood: Orion's belt, Cassiopeia's chair, Ursa Major's gentle curve. Yet you see them anew, each point of light, an aged traveler, its farewell echo reaching you. Now, you greet them in silence, acknowledging the journey and offering thanks for their final gift. Alongside starlight, meteors streak overhead, sudden travelers on shorter paths. Their fiery trails burn bright, then fade within seconds. In contrast, photons that began before mountains were born arrive softly, their presence sparse but enduring. You observe both the fleeting and the eternal as each contributes to the night's rich tapestry within your mind's eye. You drift to a mountaintop under a velvety sky. There, modern light fades, and the Milky Way unfurls in full cosmic glory. Millions of stars cluster in a luminous band, each a fountain of ancient photons. You imagine reaching out and cupping a handful of that starlight, feeling its cool glow seep into your palms. Though intangible, it fills you with wonder. You recall hours spent gazing at galaxies through telescopes' spiral arms spinning in slow, silent grace. Those images are mosaics of many photons, each pixel a record of starlight's long goodbye. You remember counting those spirals, comparing distances, charting motion. Tonight, you abandon charts and numbers for pure feeling, letting the knowledge settle like dew on your soul. as fatigue drapes its gentle veil. You sense the void beyond the peaks, the inky depths from which stars emerge and into which they one day fade. You recognize that every photon carries the promise of rebirth, its energy absorbed by cells, converted into light again, rebounding endlessly in new forms. Each farewell becomes an unseen greeting in another heart or plant leaf or distant sensor. The hush of night deepens as you drift towards slumber. You feel a soft hum at the edge of awareness, the resonance of atoms settling, the whisper of Earth's rotation, the echo of cosmic expansion. In that hum, starlight's goodbye finds harmony with Earth's own song. You become aware that your rest is part of the universal pattern. Sleep and wake, light and dark, arrival and departure. Moments before sleep, you notice one last photon, born before Stonehenge's stones stood. It brushes your retina, a final caress. You imagine tracing its full trajectory from cosmic nursery to your bedside, and feel gratitude for its unhurried faithfulness. Its farewell is a benediction, reassuring you that time, though vast, always arrives where it is needed. As you yield to dreams, you let the memory of these ancient photons become a lullaby. Each flicker dissolves into the soft pulse of your breath. Each thought ebbs into the sea of rest. The starlight's long goodbye carries you gently across the threshold of sleep beneath the same stars whose light once blinded no eye. You drift into dreams cradled by eons of patient light, carrying their gentle promise as you awaken to new horizons of wonder. You drift in silence where gravity's pull deepens into quiet mystery. Picture a black hole's horizon, a serene curve, woven into space-time itself, an invisible boundary as gentle as closed eyelids pressing down on the world. Beyond that line, reality folds in upon itself, holding secrets that no light can carry outward. Yet at its edge, you stand in suspended wonder, sensing a hush that waits for no one yet welcomes every question. In your mind's eye, you approach this horizon as though tiptoeing along a shore of infinite night. The space here feels denser, as if each atom of air thickens with anticipation. You watch photons drawn toward the curve, performing one last pirouette before surrendering to gravity's embrace. They cannot turn back. They touch the boundary only to vanish beyond sight. That fleeting kiss becomes a symbol of awe on intimate moment where everything changes without a single sound. You feel the hush in your chest, a stillness deeper than any night you've known. Your breath grows slow, your heartbeat softens as you mirror the horizon's pause. In that balance between motion and absolute rest, you sense the universe holding its breath. Time seems to waver, neither advancing nor retreating, caught in gravity's silent dialogue with light. Above you, stars continue their eternal dance, orbiting unseen centers of mass. But as you gaze toward the horizon, their sparkle dims, swallowed by the black hole's infinite gravity well. You realize that horizons hold the night not by darkness alone, but by bending space and time into a curve so steep that light itself cannot climb back out. In that curvature, you find a profound metaphor. Some paths, once taken, lead to transformations beyond return. You recall walking along a shoreline at dawn, feeling sand shift beneath your feet, waves breaking in soft crash. Then retreat. The analogy unfolds. The black hole horizon is like an ocean, swelled too vast to back away a tide that pulls all within its reach into new realms. Yet where water dissolves into foam, here space melts into singularity, a realm hidden by the horizons. gentle curved as you linger. You notice the gradient of light around the horizon grows subtle. Photons grazing the edge are stretched, reddened by gravitational redshift, their wavelengths elongating in a slow sigh. You match your own exhalation to that cosmic whisper, tasting the warmth of stretched light as it brushes past you. That brushstroke of photons' farewell becomes your lullaby, slow, drawn-out note, carrying weight and wonder in equal measure. In that note lies the paradox of horizons. They mark an end and a beginning simultaneously. To an outside observer, crossing the horizon signals the final farewell, the ultimate transformation. To the traveler, however, passing through opens into unknown interiors shaped by gravity's deepest call. Both perspectives coexist in a gentle tension that stretches your imagination, inviting you to contemplate journeys beyond sight and sound. You close your eyes, sensing the horizon curve beneath your eyelids. In the darkness behind your closed lids, you almost see the seam where space-time folds. You lean into that seam, feeling its subtle press against consciousness. In that intimate contact, you realize that every horizon, physical or metaphorical, carries an invitation to step beyond what you know, trusting the journey even when you cannot perceive its end. Your breath slows further as you trace gravity's gradient with each inhale and exhale. Inhale the expanding possibilities held at the horizon. Exhale the certainty of everyday boundaries dissolving at that gentle curve. You sense a permeability there, where rules bend and new laws may emerge, where questions gain room to unfold into deeper understanding. Outside your mind's horizon, constellations remain steadfast, yet as you focus inward, the constellations blur, their lights refracted by the horizon's pull. Their patterns lengthen, shift, remap until you no longer see them in their familiar shapes. Instead, you perceive constellations of thought questions you have long pondered, dreams half remembered, curiosities yet to be born. These mental star patterns shift as you approach your own boundary of awareness. Softly, you let those inner constellations drift toward the horizon's curve. Each thought arcs gently out of view, drawn by gravity's lure. You trust that none vanish forever. They transform, entering realms where rest and renewal await. In that trust, you find solace, even as you release conscious control, your mind's questions continue beyond immediate sight. You sense a companion beside you, a presence shaped from memory, like the echo of a guide. Perhaps it is Galileo peering through his first telescope. Perhaps Einstein marveling at gravity's curves. Perhaps a future mind yet unborn, ready to learn from horizons you now explore. Their silent company reassures you that horizons always come with companionship, those who have journeyed before, those who will follow after. The darkness around you deepens to velvet richness, but you do not fear its depth. Instead, you feel cradled by the curvature, supported by the fabric of space-time itself. That fabric holds you in a gentle suspension between the known and the unknown, between wakefulness and sleep. You lean into its embrace, knowing it holds the weight of your questions with tender patience. A soft glow appears at the horizon just beyond the curve, where light lingers before vanishing. It is neither fiery nor stark, but a muted glow reminiscent of dusk's afterglow. You sense that glow is not from outside sources, but from your own curiosity igniting in the dim. It shimmers with unspoken questions. What lies within the unseen? Interior, what shapes singularity's hush? How do horizons shape consciousness as well as space-time? In that glow, you hear gravity's gentle murmur. Secrets exist beyond light's return, But they are not lost. They are simply waiting to be understood from new vantage points. The horizon's hush reminds you that resting in wonder can be as profound as discovering answers. You feel the invitation to rest here, at the threshold, even as your heart stirs with curiosity. Your body responds in kind. Muscles unclench, shoulders soften, breath deepens. The horizon's curve becomes your pillow. It hushes your lullaby. In that lullaby lies the lesson of every frontier. Not to rush forward blindly, but to pause in reverent anticipation. Even as you yield to sleep, your mind remains aware of the horizon's call, letting questions glow softly in the dark. You sense the boundary between wakefulness and dreams flicker, like a candle's flame undulating at dusk. In that flicker, you glimpse transitions between day and night, life and rest, understanding and mystery. You allow the flicker to soften, merging conscious thought into the dream's gentle flow. As you drift, you carry the image of the horizon's curve with you, knowing that some boundaries cannot be crossed by light, yet they shelter the seeds of new insight. You feel gratitude for horizons that hold the night, for curves that bend both space and mind. You rest in the hush they offer, trusting that sleep's own horizon will bring new dawns of wonder. On that silent edge, questions glow like embers, guiding you beyond horizons into the dawn of your dreams. You imagine arriving at the very edge where speed limits end. Instead of a wall, you find a dawn of new questions rising. Light does not stop. It hands you a lantern of wonder to carry on. With that lantern, you slip into dreams, still traveling but gently now. You drift upon a silent sea, the path of light stretching endlessly ahead. Imagine reaching the point where speed limits no longer apply, where the rules that guided photons and particles, nerves and signals, finally loosen their grip. In that imagined horizon, you stand poised between known bounds and boundless possibility, sensing that this finish line is not an end but a gentle threshold into something anew. Beneath your feet, the ground feels weightless, no friction, no resistance, only the soft echo of momentum carried from flights of thought past. You lift your hand and watch as a shaft of light curls around your fingertips, obedience no longer mandated but offered in quiet tribute. You recognize that speed's old mandate has softened here, as though the universe has drawn breath and paused, ready to reveal fresh rhythms. Before you, darkness and illumination blend into muted twilight. Far beyond the finish line of known velocity, space itself seems to shimmer with latent energy. Here, you do not collide with a barrier, but step onto a glowing strand of curiosity, where each footfall triggers a spark of wonder. The edge is luminous, neither harsh nor blinding, but suffused with a calm radiance that welcomes exploration. You inhale slowly, drawing in this gentle glow. It feels cooler than sunlight, yet warmer than moonbeams, like the memory of dawn's first caress. In that inhalation, you feel boundaries dissolve. What once was fast becomes gentle. What once was distant feels intimately near. Exhaling, you release any thought of limits, letting them dissolve in the lantern's phosphorescent haze. That lanternine orb of soft luminescence appears in your grasp as if conjured by the crossing itself. It pulses softly, in tune with your heartbeat, guiding your gaze toward new questions rather than firm answers. You cradle it as you would a fragile bird, knowing that its light is not to illuminate certainties, but to warm uncertainties, to illuminate the path of gentle inquiry. In the lantern's glow you see visions of galaxies yet uncharted, their spiral arms unfurling beyond the scope of any telescope. You sense quasars poised to shine, nebulae murmuring of star births, and black holes humming with quiet gravity. Each vision arrives not in hurried flashes but in tempered glimmers, as though the cosmos itself respects this place of unbounded pause. You step forward, and the lantern's beam extends before you like a ribbon of soft light caressing the expanse. The ribbon curves around unseen corners, revealing fleeting glimpses of phenomena that defy ordinary speed. Here, space and time may merge. There, information may ripple without regard for previous limits. Yet you move gently, mindful that this frontier is to be approached with reverence, not conquest. Along this ribbon, you encounter a river of thread strings of possibility woven into the void. Each thread hums with potential, faster than light concepts, quantum entanglements, gravitational waves carrying whispers of cosmic events. You recognize that these threads do not break the rules but transcend them at a higher level of understanding. They beckon you to follow, not at frantic pace, but at calm curiosity. You kneel by the river's bank, peering into its depths. There, light threads converge and separate, dancing in patterns you cannot yet name. You trace a single filament as it spirals into a shimmering knot-in entangled duo of photons twinned across space. In that knot lies the promise of connection beyond distance, echoing the bonds you hold with others in waking life. You inhale the knot's radiance, feeling its gentle proof of unity. Beside the knot, you see ripples in the river gravitational waves ebbing from titanic mergers of black holes. Their undulations travel unchecked by the old speed limit, carrying stories of collisions billions of years past. You sense those stories brush against your mind like soft ripples on water, reminding you that events long gone still speak to the present, if only you listen. You rise and continue along the ribbon, lantern in hand. The glow reveals a field of exotic flowers, cosmic blooms that open only in this threshold. Their petals shimmer with phases of wave and particle, opening in entangled patterns that defy classical logic. You touch a petal's edge and feel a subtle thrill, quantum uncertainty made manifest as gentle blooms, inviting you to rest within their paradox. Under the canopy of these flowers, you find a quiet pool. The lantern's light dances on its surface, fracturing into myriad colors that seem to shift not only in space but in time. You sit by the pool's edge, watching as each ripple carries the lantern's glow into new patterns. In those patterns, you sense the interplay of probability and possibility, the realm where potential becomes reality. As evening deepens into a timeless fold, you lean back and gaze upward. The sky here is not black, but woven from the lantern's glow, threaded with hues you have never named. Each star you once knew seems reborn, its light refracted into subtle arcs that rise and fall like gentle waves. You feel a kinship with every photon that traveled the speed limit and every idea that surpassed it here. You inhale the vastness, letting its calm settle into your bones. The lantern's warmth pulses in your palm, guiding you to release any last fear of limits. You understand now that speed limits are not prisons, but thresholds markers, pointing toward deeper understanding. Places where you pause to reflect, before moving on. In the soft glow beyond the finish line, knowledge and mystery intertwine. You realize that every discovery births new questions, each answer a door to further inquiry. The frontier you stand upon is not a terminus, but a threshold of perpetual wonder. You smile in quiet gratitude for the journey that brought you here, following light's melody from hush to hush, from one question to the next. Your eyelids grow heavy as you cradle the lantern's halo. You place it gently on the riverbank, trusting it to shine its subtle light until you return. As you lie down beside the pool, the glow bathes you in comfort, each ripple a tender lullaby. Reality here is both intimate and infinite, a sanctuary. For rest and renewal, you close your eyes, carrying the lantern's warmth inward. In the hush of this place, you sense the beginnings of dreams' visions, shaped by cosmic patterns, stories woven from quantum threads, memories tinted by nebula hues. Sleep beckons as a journey deeper than light's own path, a voyage through the unseen landscapes your mind conjures. Let your breath fall into the rhythm of this threshold, inhale the promise of new questions, exhale the peace of gentle limits. In each cycle, you drift farther beyond the old finish line, into realms where curiosity guides each step. You are both traveler and destination, explorer and sanctuary, carried by the lantern's quiet wonder, as sleep enfolds you, the last thought you cherish is the lantern's gift, that light does not cease at boundaries, but transforms into renewed guidance. You rest in that knowledge, surrendering to dreams that will carry you onwards, till traveling, still discovering, but gently. Now, under a soft glow that knows no finish,